Joe Scarborough had an interesting take on Joe Biden's age and cognitive ability. Let's watch.
And then they look at Joe Biden and say, oh, he's cognitively impaired. When you follow any Joe Biden press conference, as far as actual facts, as far as actual policy prescriptions, and compare him to just about any other Donald Trump press conference, there's just not a comparison. Yes, we can. I can play 5 minutes of tape that shows Donald Trump looking cognitively declined. I could do the same for Joe Biden. At the end of the day, though, if you cut down underneath that and just talk about who is cogent on policy, Donald Trump loses by a landslide every time, doesn't he?
Really? In a landslide? Joe Biden? Really? That Joe Biden? The Joe Biden we've been seeing for the last several years? Okay, Mr. Scarborough. Megyn Kelly begs to differ. You know, she just sat with former President Donald Trump for an expansive, lengthy interview where they bounced from topic to topic to topic. President Trump had no notes in front of him. He kept up the entire time. Here's Megyn Kelly's take on the whole thing.
And I give him a ton of credit. I mean, you tell me, could Joe Biden have done that? Could he have done 5 minutes of that? Just 5 minutes. Never mind an hour and 20 or however long Trump and I were together. It was almost an hour and 20. He couldn't and he wouldn't. And where is the mainstream journalist who will even ask him tough questions? Where are they? The fact that he gave the time, because he could pull a Biden. He could go underground. He could be under a rock. But he puts himself out there. And I do think he deserves enormous credit for it. He's, as I say, didn't have to.
Does anybody think that Joe Biden could do the same thing? Hell, Joe Biden can't even make it through a scripted press event with a cue card sitting in front of him. He doesn't even know what side of the stage he's supposed to lead from. And that happens a lot. I mean, a lot. I mean, every time he's on the stage, he doesn't know where to exit. Karine Jean-Pierre recently said, and when asked about Joe Biden's age, that 80 is the new 40.
You've seen all the public polling, people concerned about age. How does the president plan to convince the American people over the next year that 80 is not too old for someone who's running for re-election?
80 is the new 40. Didn't you hear?
Precious. 80 is the new 40? Really? I guess that means that we should expect a new proposal to raise the retirement age to 107? Listen, this is an old story here in Washington, D.C., if I can say that. Strom Thurmond was, 128 before he finally died in office. Robert Byrd just recently defended his age when he was clearly losing it.
The news stories in recent weeks that have pointed out the shocking discovery, yes, shocking discovery that I am growing older.
And this is also a bipartisan issue. I mean, as a Republican, I'm freaked out when Mitch McConnell just locks up and stares off into space. I mean, sorry, Senator McConnell, but you look like you've aged about 20 years in the last 2 months. And then Dianne Feinstein is, well, she's just not well. I mean, when you reach a certain age in politics, shouldn't you stop for a moment and recognize that there are more important things in life than winning the next election and making sure you're there for the next committee hearing or the next vote on something you probably don't understand anyway? I wish they'd all just take a moment and spend some time with their wives and their children and their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren and their great-great-grandchildren and just move on in life. Otherwise, we all get the impression that there's nothing more important than politics.